Went from condos to Pop's house, on calls now bus routes.
I love how you even went into talking about, mentors and being a mentee and your testimony and everything. Something that I'll add to that. I always say when it comes down to us men is it's important for us to go out there and be disciples, and things like that. So, man, I just love these are the type of conversations that I love to have because I'm all about the youth. I'm all about giving back, and I'm all about, especially when it comes down to helping other men become strong, valuable men out here, husbands, men of God, leaders, running their own foundations and businesses. Like that's what I'm all about. You get what I'm saying? So I definitely see we're on the same page, brother. Yes, so let's get to that though, because you get out of college, right?
Yep.
Now, after college, of course, we know basketball is now kind of out the way. Like you said, you dabbled in it with Detroit and stuff like that. But you start to get to that place to where you start to develop the I see greatness, right? You start to develop that, brother. How do you start to go into a direction where that start to develop after college?
That was so after college, I I was out, like I said, I was girl crazy. You know what I mean? I was dating 2-3 girls at a time. I was still in and out of basketball, because I didn't see any opportunities right after college, and so I was trying to figure out going the boots on the ground way. Let me try this league. Let me see if I can get overseas. Let me get this agent. I got screwed over by agents. And so it was a down. So actually we're coming up on 20 years to this date. I didn't get down on my knees. I don't get down on my knees. I don't put my head down to pray or do nothing like that. I look straight up to the Most High and say, God, tell me what I'm here for. I said, what is my purpose? What am I here for? And when you get that convicted and you get that fed up with the results that you've been getting, because you see it and then now you're becoming a byproduct of it, and it's like you see yourself rotting, and so you tell God, so you have promises for me. What am I here for? And the next day I was working at a restaurant, and I was working at Macaroni Grill. I did 2 jobs, Macaroni Grill and Applebee's. And this guy by the name of Bill Peterson came in, and he said, I see greatness in you. I think I dropped the tray. I dropped everything. I said, that's what it is. I said, that's my purpose. So I said, that's what I literally wrote it on the board. Something similar to this right here. And I took it, but it was a little bit bigger, right about the size of this. And I took it, I just took it, started standing on corners and started pointing at cars and just getting, excited. I was listening to gospel music and motivational affirmations and things like that. I just started pointing at cars. And at the same time, I started to research and study personal development, positivity, like the Les Browns, John C. Maxwell's, Jim Rohn's, Dale and Carnegie's. I took the Dale and Carnegie sales training program. I was so hungry. I would even take speech classes in local colleges and not even register. I would just talk to the dean and talk to the teachers and say, can I write a speech? And I was the best speech speaker in that class, those classes. And I was fortunate for those opportunities. And I was just on fire for inspiration, for motivation, for learning. I started a book called The Textbook, and The Textbook was the first book ever written, received, and read via text message. So it's a combination of inspirational personal development, self-help, positive, motivational text messaging done on a consistent basis, 3 days a week, 12 days a month, 144 texts out of the total year, sent to a network of over 10,000 different people. I was texting the Pistons, I was texting Obama and his team, I was texting influential people. Even still to this day, I send out motivational positive texts to individuals, not on the mass level, because I was only able to do that from a BlackBerry, and when they had group messenger back in the day. And so they and so they cut that out, and BlackBerry cut out too, you know, so that kind of cut that out. But I still do personalized motivational text messaging, just not on that mass level. But there is, like I said, it's been 20 years to this date, and I am working on the app now. You know, I still get people to say daily they think about that. You know what I mean? So it's that. So after I started the textbook, you know, that kind of opened up doors for me too. I created an inadvertent network. I had a network that was receiving text messages. So I was at one point in time for my BlackBerry, you know, I would send and I just posted this on my Instagram, the BlackBerry, like yesterday actually. It's weird. I would send so many text messages that I would shut down the tower, whatever tower I was in the area, and some text message wouldn't get sent, but the community wouldn't be able to send a mass text, wouldn't be send their own text messages because my phone was running up the tower, the ROM. It was taking up too much ROM, and I got into a legal situation with Sprint and Verizon at the time because I fought against saying I couldn't send unlimited text messaging. And so they took my text messaging down from 136 characters to 124 characters. And so I was like, wow. But it actually worked out better because people appreciated the smaller message versus the larger message. And thank God that it worked out that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I See Greatness in You was a product of a prayer from purpose and research on inspiration and motivation, the masses.
I had to show 'em that I wasn't made.